I have successfully attempted mergers and acquisitions, the route of business that Pena preaches. And I feel obligated to come here and share my perspective, the virtues of it and the flaws in it. Let's begin with the idea of building a board. It's a beautiful idea, and I highly recommend men should build boards for their companies. But in the manner that it's preached to say the board is everything, they give you the wisdom, they give you the ideas on if the company is worth pursuing and so on, and they're doing it part-time in the beginning, is a very dangerous idea to play with. It's possible because I have done it, but knowing what I now know and accomplishing what I have now accomplished, I would dare never tell another man to go find people to be on your board part-time for their wisdom and insights and not for their contacts, really. And I do get there's a expectation of a grand chairman opening up his contacts, but if that's not clear in the beginning, which is it probably wouldn't if you haven't proved yourself as a man, it's worth not pursuing. And I think there are better angles you can pursue. I'm speaking from having somebody worth $250 million on my board and seeing what his contacts could do and could not do. At the same time, having somebody just as a statue on your board, in this century, things have changed. And I fear I would speak to say Dan Pena's methods are kind of outdated, extremely outdated, in many ways. Not in ways that it does not work per se, but in ways to say you have to look at the two levers that system depends on. It depends on the motivated seller and being able to finance that transaction. The people in finance now, 90%, 95% are millennials. Young men, young women are now pulling the levers of the world's money supply. And then the guys retiring are baby boomers still, right? Old people. Those are the guys you're targeting to acquire their businesses. So you have to understand these demographics are stuck in their ways. Millennials do not look at you presenting a grand board with a grand chairman and they're going to be mesmerized by that idea and give you the financing. That's an idea of old. The baby boomers don't really care about titles. They're retiring. They're really worried about their well-being at the age of old. So you have to be able to speak to both souls in that manner. Dan Pena is just not able to teach that. That's something you have to, and he shouldn't. That's something you would have to go with trial and error, having meetings, and then understanding that's the case. And that's why I always preached I would never sell a course. But I'm starting to find virtue in those who sell courses. At the same time, men who sell courses do not become rich from selling. Are often not rich from the methods they're selling, but they're often making their wealth from a course, which I find to be wealth of an individual looking for comfort in life, and that goes against my philosophy. Why I'm saying these things is because I'm looking for men who are willing to not be comfortable, men willing to sacrifice their life to service a customer. And that's another problem with the QLA method, is you're not focused on the customer whatsoever. It's a very selfish method, like it should. You should be selfish. Why should you do anything for not selfish reasons? You should be selfish. But the problem is you're not serving a customer wholeheartedly for your selfish reasons. And that's why many fail. They don't fail because they're not ambitious. They don't fail because they're not persistent. They don't fail because they're not driven in whatsoever, but they fail because they overlook the most important piece. The customer is barely mentioned at any point in QLA mergers and acquisitions, which is mind-blowing to me. So as I have successfully attempted this, I built a board of $10 billion of transaction history and all that stuff, that jargon you spiel. I had meetings over 2,000 banks. I secured financing from these institutions. I spoke to many sellers. I cold called. I made over 10,000, if not 20,000 cold calls. I had meetings. I negotiated deals over 10 million, over $150 million. Closed a tiny deal for about $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. So I'm not speaking from a man of attempts and without going through the emotions of every emotion that a human could possibly feel in this process. But I'm speaking from virtue, a place of trial, error, and understanding that the only ultimate thing that you're actually chasing, the cash flow, is something that the customer will be willingly paying. And if you do not take care of a customer, there is nothing. And the moment that the seller stops taking care of his customers, there is no business. And the moment that you have negotiation leverage, that speaks to a customer, not the seller, a customer, you're always going to win. You're always going to win, even with the bankers, the millennials. So that's that. If you're a man of M&A, of QLA, of sales, of military discipline, find my Instagram somewhere. It's going to be somewhere at some point. Hopefully, I'm still going to be looking for men of discipline, competence, that are willing to sacrifice their entire life to create wealth and serve a customer. Let's connect. I'm not selling you a course. I'm inviting you to a program, rather, without having you to pay anything, but inviting you to a program of competent men, of competence, of sacrifice. Men of sacrifice are willing to build anything together, knowing that if we accomplish this goal, the resources we make are vastly way more than if I collect money from you up front in any manner. So that's where I'm at in my juncture. Money does not buy you freedom or wealth. It buys you access. And now I'm pursuing freedom and wealth with men of high competence. Thank you.